Many small countries were afraid of being conquered, knowing that they couldn't defeat the great power that France had become, and even the great powers of Europe began to see France as a threat to the balance of power. The countries of Spain, Holland, Austria, Prussia, England, and Sardinia formed the first coalition to beat France and force France to give up the lands Napoleon had conquered. After France was defeated, the great powers, Austria, Britain, Prussia, Russia, and France met at the Congress of Vienna in 1815 to make a treaty that redistributed the land and kept any one country from having too much power. This was known as the Peace Settlement of 1815. Many new and radical ideas began to arise and compete with the dominating conservative ideas. Liberalism, which had its roots in the American and French revolutions, stressed liberty and equality. Liberals believed that human beings are naturally good and should govern their own lives by voting and have a say in government. Liberals also believed in a free economy, or laissez-faire, an idea stressed an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations by Scottish philosopher Adam Smith. Smith believed that a non-government regulated economy would be guided by the invisible hand that would give citizens more opportunity for success and result in more income for everyone. After 1815, liberalism became more associated with the middle class, while other demographic groups arose in lower classes that were more radical, willing to have a revolution in order to gain universal male suffrage. Nationalism also stemmed from the French Revolution and was an idea that people feel an association and pride toward their own country. Oftentimes, nationalism resulted in a feeling of loyalty towards a country or a region containing people of the same culture or language. Though nationalism united people within their own countries, it also caused antagonism toward other countries and often led to dispute. The disputes that occurred between Italian city-states was in part a result of nationalism because people of Italy wanted to prove the superiority of their own city-state and didn't want to combine with others to form one country. Nationalism rose in this time period because countries became more connected through language symbols representing a country, holidays, and other events. Monarchs would promote nationalism to try and gain support of their own people, and one common way to do this was to go to war. Pride in one's own country also came with a sense of superiority over other countries, so by going to war and conquering other nations, a monarch could rally his people and gain their approval. The rise of nationalism also led to some ethnic groups within countries trying to revolt. Ethnic groups that felt as though they were being oppressed by a country ruling them believed that they had the right to freedom and their own country. Many people in France after 1815 also started believing in creating a utopian society through socialism. Utopian socialists believe that the rise of laissez-faire economy and the growth of industry led to a split community and selfish individualists. They also believed that the government should organize the economy and abolish private property, as well as try to help the poor and lessen the gap between the rich and the poor. One leading early socialist was Count Henri De Saint-Simon. He believed that society consisted of parasites, the churchmen, court, and aristocracy, and the doers, leading scientists, engineers, and industrialists. He believed that getting rid of parasites and supporting doers would help the economy and lead to the Age of Gold. Marx was the son of a Jewish lawyer, but was an atheist himself, who studied socialist writings from a young age and in 1848 wrote the Communist Manifesto with the help of Frederick Engels. This book is often considered to be the Bible of socialism and inspired many socialist leaders such as Mussolini and Lenin. Marx, whose ideas were influenced by Hegel, believed that throughout history there was always a struggle between classes in which one class exploited another. He thought that it was historically inevitable that the proletariat would overthrow the bourgeoisie through a violent revolution, resulting in a classless society. The Romantic movement arose in the 19th century, largely inspired by the French Revolution, and influenced the art, culture, and literature in Europe. Romanticism occurred in part as a revolt against classism and the Enlightenment. It put emotion over reason, emphasizing human passion and feelings, and glorified nature. Romanticism also encouraged personal freedom, and its emphasis on feelings led to new humanitarian movements to fight slavery and poverty. Many Romantics felt that the Industrial Revolution was an attack on nature and opposed industry, stressing the beauty and importance of nature instead. Romantics were also fascinated by the study of history, viewing it as change of art over time. Early German Romantics in the 1770s called themselves Sturm und Drang, or Storm and Stress, and lived emotionally intense lives, resulting in a high rate of suicide and insanity among them. One important philosopher who contributed to the ideas of the Romantic movement was Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He believed that humans were corrupted by society and materialism. Another predominant Romanticist was Immanuel Kant, who accepted rational Enlightenment ideas yet believed in religion and human freedom. Romantic literature began and was most predominant in Britain, led by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who wrote lyrical ballads abandoning conventional styles for a style of their own. Both writers were influenced by Rousseau and the French Revolution and believed in the power of nature to teach them as poets. Another prominent writer was Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who wrote Sorrows of a Young Werther, which influenced many other tragic love stories in the time period. Eugne Delacroix was the most influential Romantic artist in France, and his masterpiece, Liberty Leading the People, emphasized the greatness of the French Revolution. Delacroix used bright colors to make an intense piece that stirred the emotions of the viewer. Prominent Romantic painters in England, Joseph M.W. Turner and John Constable, both depicted the beauty and power of nature. Romanticism was most able to express emotion and intensity through music. Orchestras were greatly increased in size and new instruments were added, and structured form in music was abandoned for wild, structureless music that evoked strong emotion. Ludwig van Beethoven is thought to be the greatest Romantic composer, starting at a young age and continuing to compose even after he went deaf from all his loud music. All literature, art, and music of the Romantic movement broke away from the traditional religious culture. New structures and colors were used to invoke emotion, and people became more secular and humanist as a result from the stress on the individual, nature, and feelings.